Hi everyone. Today is 24th of August, which means that it's been 6 months since the beginning of the Russian special military operation on Ukraine. So in this video, I would like to talk about results of this operation at this moment, analyze information that we have, and make some at least try to do some prognosis about future developments that will may or may not occur on the battlefield. So yes, as I said, it's been 6 months since the beginning of the special military operation. For this moment, we can say as a fact that Russian and Allied forces did liberate entire territories of Lugansk People's Republic, and more than half of the territories of Donetsk People's Republic. Moreover, Russian forces do take control over the Kherson region, over the Zaporozhye region, because we can say that 70 to 80% of Zaporozhye region's oblast territory is controlled by Russian and Allied forces. And in the north, around Kharkov, Russian forces do obtain some presence, and they do control. I'm not gonna say in percentage wise, but Russian and Allied forces do control quite amount of territories of Kharkov region, from north side, from eastern and southern side. So that's what we have for this moment. Right now, it may seem like we are seeing some kind of a stalemate on the front line, but I'm not. I will don't take it necessarily as a stalemate. It's more like preparations for the future offensive operations. At least I will say it about Russian side. And yeah, what we can say about this operation. First phase, when Russian side did try to do some huge moves from almost all directions, and to take control on Ukrainian territories as much as possible. That first phase was, in some sense, in southern Ukraine, this did made some. This tactic did give Russian side some advantages, and for example, seaside of the Donetsk People's Republic, city of Mariupol, for example, or most of the parts of Zaporozhye region, or Kherson region was taken from the very beginning. So in that sense, this kind of tactic was a success in the southern side, but in north it was different picture. And as we know, after um, after a few weeks of advances, uh, uh, Russian troops was pulled out from Kiev region, from Chernigov, even from Kharkov region. Even though eventually Russian troops did retake territories around Kharkov city. So one may say that in north side, uh, Russian forces didn't succeed as much as they hoped. Uh, but in southern Ukraine, yes, this first phase was pretty much successful or success. Um, when it comes to casualties of the sites, I mean, official numbers about casualties just don't make any sense, at least for me, uh, because I mean, officially, Russian side is talking about a few thousand casualties, and same is from Ukrainian side. Just yesterday, we had information from Kiev that Zelensky's regime lost just 9,000 soldiers on the battlefield, and I'm quite sure that no one really believes in this number, because intensity of fight and intensity and uh, because just a second, and the scale of the fighting is I mean pretty huge. So it's hard to believe that casualty numbers are what officials are saying. Um, Anyhow, I mean, we all understand that at wartime, all sides everywhere are keeping real numbers from the public, and this conflict not gonna be different. All sides will, before the very end, and even maybe after, sides will try to maintain in secret real casualty numbers. So yeah, that's a little summary of the what we see for last 6 months. When it comes to uh, when it comes to uh, how you say it, when it comes to sides of the conflict, the battle tactics, or even though I did talk about this stuff, but how one can judge performance of militaries of both sides. Yet again, my English is not good, as you can see, and some words may not necessarily be better ones to explain my ideas. But still, if it comes to, or when it comes to, when it comes to assessment, let's say this way, of the militaries of the sides, what can I say? Ukrainians did surprise everyone, probably even themselves, giving Russians a good fight. Uh, it was surprise for me too, because I was thinking that in Ukrainian army, it was surprise for me basically for one reason. I was thinking that in Ukrainian army there were, or there should be, officers that are really, really patriotic and good human beings, and they will never allow these brother nations to end up in a warlike scenario. And because of that, no, firstly, because Russians did not take Ukrainians as enemies, and on territories that are controlled by Russians, Ukrainian ethnic Ukrainians have no problems whatsoever. No one is endangering their lives. I mean, they live peacefully because, as I said, I mean, in Russia we don't see Ukrainians as enemies, or Ukrainian people. We still see them as a brotherly nation. So I was thinking that, of course, Ukrainian officers gonna knew it, that regime is using Ukraine. Regime is working for the Western, of the Western masters, and for the Western masters, and they will put Ukraine in harm's way, just so that Western ruling elites will gain some geopolitical points. So, I mean, how stupid someone gonna be to did not see that? So, I was thinking that if Ukrainian officers understood what is going on, they will give orders to the units to lay down arms. Even more, I was thinking that some units may even turn their weapons against Zelensky's Nazi regime, and some Nazi regiments that are incorporated in Ukrainian military. Let's say Azov or Aidar or Kraken. There are many of these ultra-right Nazi units that are incorporated in Ukrainian military. But this is, I mean, but in reality, I mean, what I was hoping that Ukrainian officers will do what I just said, but it did not happen. It seems like for the last 8 years, Western secret services, together with Zelensky's Nazi regime and the SBU, that's let's say Gestapo of the modern Ukraine, or SS of modern Ukraine, they did just probably clear out armed forces from decent officers, from decent human beings, and that's why we see pictures when Russian units had to fight, even though they did not want it. No one really wanted this conflict. So that was you know that was a big surprise for me because I was hoping that they still some decent officers in Ukrainian army. Man. I was wrong. Uh, Other than that, citizens of Ukraine, they are, you know, they are like us. If we can fight, they can fight too. And our grandfathers fight together against Nazi German Nazis, or Nazi Germans in the Second World War. Even though, I'm talking about most of the Ukrainians, because in western parts of Ukraine there were some um, disgraceful elements like Bandera and Chukhevich and many other uh, Nazi elements that were fighting alongside of Nazi Germans and killing innocent people, killing tens and hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Ukrainians, Russians, Jews, Polish people. In Poland, I mean, it's quite surprising for me that in Poland it seems like Polish people forget what Ukrainian Nazis did to Polish people. Man. More than 100,000 Poles were killed by Bandera and Shukhevich. By these criminal elements and their forces. But it seems like in Poland they forget their own history, man. But anyhow, uh, it's probably I'm not gonna be wrong if I say that most of the world was surprised by prolongation of this conflict. I had my reasons to think that conflict will be finished in 2-3 weeks time. Uh, some other people may have some different calculations, but I mean, we can see now that it's 6 months since the beginning of a special military operation, and from this point, it seems a long way. End of conflict seems like in a very long way from now. When it comes to assessment of Russian uh, tactics, I did say a few words about that, and because in Russia they're making some strange laws, I'm not even sure what can I talk about, because anything that I say, some uh, just a sec. Some officials may take as a breaching of law or disrespect of the army, and that's enough to uh, just enough to give me some hard time, and so I don't need that really. That's of course that's kind of censorship that we have to you know think about whenever we making some videos. Even though some critiques that are addressed towards people who were planning this operation. This critique comes from a good place, not from a bad place. But yet again, um, in Russia we have some strange laws at the time, and anything I say, anything critical that I will say, can be interpreted as a disrespect of the army, and for this I may go to jail, and I don't really need that, really. I will just say that I was saying for years that corruption is a main danger for Russia, for security of Russian state, and for security of Russian people. And after 6 months of the special military operation, I'm even more sure that corruption is main threat to the Russian state and Russian society. And everything that did go wrong in this special military operation is due to corruption. I'm absolutely sure about that. You know, and corruption is a quite wide has quite wide meaning, because we can say that some generals are corrupt if they're using funds that are given to them for training. If they're using these funds for themselves, that's corruption. And we can say that corruption is when some officers using unlawful means to get to a better place, or to get some rise in ranks. And that's no less dangerous, because in that way you will end up with the generals that are not really generals. They are just corrupt animals that bought their place. I'm not talking about any particular country in this sense. I'm just saying that corruption can be corruption has some many meanings. So it is what it is, man. When it comes to let's say forecast of when it comes to forecast of future developments in this conflict, I will say that in my understanding, before, and it's quite possible that we're not gonna see some huge offensive operations in next 3 to 4 months, maybe more. There may be some brutal fighting. There may be some local offensive operations from both sides, but when it comes to some massive operations, in my understanding, we're not going to see that until the winter, because for now, Ukrainian side quite effectively is using forest, green massives. In Russian we say about it like "зеленка." That means that forces that are loyal to Zelensky's Nazi regime quite effectively using these Zilionka, these forest massives to fight back. And it's hard to clear these territories because you can't see what is going on there from air because of forest. And if you put soldiers in this forest, it, of course, Russian side eventually can clear all those territories, but then we gonna have huge casualties, and no one side wants that, you know. So, in my understanding, massive offensive operations will start in the winter time when Ukrainian side will be not Ukrainian side, but forces of that are loyal to Zelensky's Nazi regime will not have any more opportunity to use forest, you know, or at least because leaves are gone, from air they can be seen from air, so all their positions could be destroyed by artillery or aviation. So that's why I think that in the winter time we will see some massive offensive operations from Russian side in the north and in the south, even in the center. So after winter, entire south and north, entire southeast east side of Ukraine will probably end up under Moscow's control, from Kharkiv to Pridnestrovia. So Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporozhye, then Nikolaev, Odessa, and rest of the Black Sea coast towards Pridnestrovia will end up in under control of the Moscow. That's my forecast, But this will happen, as I said, this will happen in the winter time and after winter. In next few, then after this is gonna happen, they will probably probably we will have some kind of peace talks between whoever gonna be in the representative of the current Nazi regime in Ukraine, because I'm not sure that Western masters of the Zelensky gonna keep him alive for much longer, because they did use this animal as much as they could, so they may kill him in next few months. But anyhow, after winter, when Moscow will take control over the entire south and the east parts of the Ukraine, then will some peace talks may bring some. We may see some peace talks, which will eventually make possible a ceasefire. Yeah, that's how I see this picture, and I may repeat that before winter offensive in Russia we may see some partial mobilization, because, as you know, in September, if I'm correct, in a few regions almost in all regions of the Ukraine that are controlled by Russia, and in Lugansk People Republic and Donetsk People Republic, we're going to see referendums about becoming part of Russia. I'm quite sure people will vote on this referendum to join Russia. And if Moscow decides to take these territories, bring them in, to make these territories part of Russia, then from Moscow point of view, any military actions from Ukrainian side will be and can be interpreted as attack on Russia. So in that sense, Moscow will have by Russian law, from that moment, Moscow will have all rights to declare war and start partial or full mobilization, because everyone do understand that for massive offensive operations, Russian side will need more people, more soldiers on the ground, because for all these 6 months, Russia was using just expeditionary force, you know, and it's quite surprising that this expeditionary force did gain some, did have some huge victories against forces that have much more soldiers. And in the beginning of the conflict, and even now, Zelensky Nazi regime has under arms like 3 to 4 times of more soldiers that Russian expeditionary force. At least that's what they are saying. You know, probably you remember that Zaluzhny or someone in Ukraine was saying that they have under arms some million people. So that's a huge number. You know. But yet again, if if we're talking about some offensive operations, in my understanding, even though I'm not military expert, and I'm sharing with you just my personal opinion. For massive offensive operations, Russian side probably will need 200,000 to 300,000 soldiers over those 150,000 that are already on the battlefield. So that means that in scenario that I just talked, if Russia will make some partial mobilization, then they will have this then probably 300 to 500,000 people could be mobilized and sent to the front line, so that Russia will don't have need in sending on the front conscripts, because me personally, I do prefer to see mobilization, even though that I may be mobilized too, but that's probably a better decision that to send in the front some conscripts, because they are just youngsters, man. I mean, 18, 19 year old young men, they didn't see life yet. They are not professional militaries, and if it comes to like who gonna die on the front line from state, if you take this picture from statehood position, If you say like, I'm gonna die, I'm 44-year old, or some youngster that just lived 18 years. Of course, it's better me to die. I hope I do explain myself probably, even though I don't fucking want to die or anything. I don't want to, end up on the front line because I don't have military experience and I don't see how I can be helpful. But for example, because when it comes to mobilization, I don't know what algorithm they are using, but anyone could be, anyone may be mobilized. You know. So yeah, I do think that in scenario that I just talk, if Russia will take in all those territories officially, then any attack from Ukrainian side may be interpreted as attack on Russia, and that gives Moscow legal basis for declaring war and start mobilization. And that way, I mean, we may see that on autumn, if this scenario is if Moscow is working on this kind of scenario, then mobilization we may see in autumn, in October, in October November period, so that mobilized people will have some time to go some basic training, at least to know how these pistols or machine guns work, because me personally, I knew anything about weapons from what I read, in books or magazines, and what I see on YouTube, for example. If you give me now some AK, I will probably did not. Eventually, intuitively, I will probably find out how to use it. Anyone will, but it will take some time. So that's why I'm thinking if it comes to mobilization, then in October and November we may see mobilization in Russia, partial or general mobilization. That's yet to be seen, but probably Russian side will mobilize some 300 to 500,000 people to give help to the expeditionary force that are already on the battlefield for the last 6 months. One more thing. After eventually, I mean, this military conflict will be resolved in some peace talks, and there will be ceasefire. And after that, I may say that Russia probably will have a most capable military force in the world, because now Russian officers and military personnel are gaining experience that they did not have and no one had since Second World War, because this scale of military operations we did not see since Second World War. Nothing like this had happened since 40s of last century. So in that sense, after this military conflict, Russia will have a most capable military in the world, in real terms, So it is what it is. I hope this video was interesting for you. If so, please consider to subscribe to my channel and share this video. If you can just help me to reach some more people, and that way I will have more reasons to these videos, and to do it like better, to improve quality. Let me say that way, because sometimes I can be emotional and I may talk some shit, man. And you know, but 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 sometimes I can be quite academical, if it's the right word. Anyhow, man. Anyhow, thank you for your time. Bye for now. Take care.